We were chatting a little bit before we started recording just about the business aspect of medicine in general. Why aren't we including more of that in the actual curriculum? How to run a practice? We get a little bit in terms of how to bill, but it's otherwise like pretty free for all, depending on who your preceptors are of how to actually run a clinic. Should you run a clinic? Are you the person to be doing that, or should you be, one of the partner physicians? Like why has this never become more of a mainstay? Obviously, physicians running their own practice has been the MO and how the system operates for decades now, but it's still just this giant blind spot.
Yeah, no, it's a really unfortunate one. And part of that is whenever programs have tried to introduce some of the very pragmatic, real aspects of medicine into the residency program curriculum, for example, the feedback that they get from a lot of them is, well, this wasn't as important. You shouldn't have done this for me. You should have scheduled me another ER shift. Or you should have scheduled me in the OR. Should have scheduled me more clinic time. That's way more important than trying to tell me what life is going to be like. I'll figure that out later. And they don't figure it out. They just don't. We see that, right? The majority of physicians have no idea. Like the stat about, especially in the fee for service world, the stat that physicians are just wasting, 20% of what their earned income, their hard earned income, and just not realizing, not getting it. That's probably too low for most people. Like that number is probably way more conservative than it should be. But the fact that it's 20% at all is horrific, right? If I think back to when I first started, that first day, I think I spent 6 hours looking at the schedule of medical benefits and just hoping that I wasn't somehow missing $5 here and like a consult here or something here. People need to do that because there's no point complaining 5 or 10 years down the road that I don't make enough when you just spent 5 or 10 years like blatantly forgetting about things that you were actually earned, that you were actually supposed to get, and then wondering what happened and it's someone else's fault. Well, it's no one else's fault. That was your job, right? You need to sort that out and figure that out. I am not a proponent of the salary-based model. I think that kills entrepreneurial spirit. I think it reduces output. Like it, if I got paid the same amount to see 5 patients versus 20, well, God, I'm going to see 5, right? I'll have a very relaxed day. I'll have coffee breaks. I will go for a run in the middle of my day. I will do all sorts of other things because there is zero incentive for me to do more than that. And we see that. There's lots of research showing that happens in the salaried model, but yet that is kind of the direction a lot of people are taking it. Does it work in certain specialized aspects? 100%. Do I have colleagues that work in very specific remote populations that there is no chance of them ever having the output to generate income and therefore needs to be in a very specialized salaried or grant or a different system? 100%. But they're in the few and far between. They're not the staple. They're not the regular. So that's probably a lot of the reason why, even though BC has a new compensation model, they have seen zero increase in access, zero increase in actual patient attachment, like none. Like how do you have almost 1,000 new physicians, or 700, I guess is around that number, and yet there's no increased access and patients are not getting, there's not more patient attachment? How is that possible? But you don't, and I'm sure if they had it, we would see that in the news, they'd be championing it everywhere, but we're not. All we're seeing is that they're paying physicians $150,000 more. They have a whole bunch more physicians, and they're basically just hoping that they're going to have more attachment access somewhere in the future. But you can't really take that to the bank. You can't tell the 2 million people that are waiting for a family physician, oh, don't worry, you will have one eventually. Oh, but when? I need my meds tomorrow. Oh, no, no, no. Eventually. So,
This is the RCT being run right now, I guess. Welcome to the experiment. This episode is sponsored by Empathia.ai. This AI charting assistant captures your patient encounter and creates a clinical note, saving doctors on average 2 hours per day in charting. Healthcare professionals are often bogged down by endless paperwork. Their goal is for physicians to spend less time charting. Find them at www.empathia.ai. That's EMPATHIA.ai. I'm Dr. Jordan Valrath, and you've been watching Cherry Live, brought to you by Cherry Health. Please like and subscribe to see more clips like this, or check us out at www.cherry.health, Canada's medical network.